Up to now, we've been creating our web pages then with HTML. So HTML, it's important to recognize that we're using these tags and we're simply using HTML to develop the structure of our page. In other words, we're creating our headers and our paragraphs and where we're going to put our images and that kind of a thing. But we haven't addressed anything like how do we make our web pages look pretty? How do we put coloring in them? How do we put italics? How do we add borders and change our fonts and all of those kinds of things? So all this decorative or styling, as we call it, is what we're going to be using with something called cascading style sheets, commonly referred to as CSS. But that's, I guess there's probably a space there, not that it matters. Anyway, CSS is what we're going to be using in this particular video. And there's different ways to put CSS into our web page. So we're just going to start off with the basics and sort of build on and to show you the different ways that you can apply CSS to your page. What I'd like to do before I start applying CSS, though, is take you to the W3 schools, which we've been at many times, and I'll have you click on References and then go to CSS Reference. And so here in this reference page is all kinds of different options. Let me make this a little bit bigger. All kinds of different options for us to choose from to decorate our web pages. There's lots of different properties. And so just for simplicity in this video, I'm just going to zero down on a few of them. One, for example, I'm going to scroll over to is background color. And I would encourage you to come in here and play with all of these different things. Background color looks like this particular command is giving us the background color of our web page. So we'll see how to do that. So there's a property called background color. What else are we going to be playing with? We're going to be playing with, let me move down to color. And color seems to set the text color of different elements. In other words, now we're looking at the coloring of our text. That looks like fun. Some other ones that we're going to be playing with in this video is font variant. Font variant, small caps. That sounds interesting. Small caps then gives us the ability to, upper and lower case, but all lower, all uppercase kind of thing. Different size of our subsequent cases. Okay, that sounds like fun. The other one I wanted to play with was, well, you could play with font family. That's how you're going to change your fonts. And the other one was font style was the one we're going to play with. And here we have, oh good, some ways to italicize. So again, I'd encourage you to come back in here and play with these different ones. But I also want to bring you to, while I'm here, this color. And if we scroll down, we'll start to see that, in fact, I'll even take you to this color picker rather than scrolling down. Obviously, I want you to explore this color area, but if we choose color picker, which you can also get to from the home page, so if I scroll down, there should be a color picker. If you choose this color picker, this gives you the ability to see the different ways to display your color. And I'll come back to this to make this a little bit more obvious. But if I wanted to pick this red color, for example, I could use either the word red, I could use the hex value notation, I could use the RGB notation, red, green, blue notation, which is used for light, or I could use HSL, which is used for printing more than anything else, which stands for hue, saturation, and lightness. So it's different ways to mix colors to get a color, kind of like when you were back in grade kindergarten and you mixed different paints to get different colors. That's the idea. So we'll come back to this as we pick colors. So I'll show you how you can use that a little bit more effectively. So we'll be doing color at the same time. Okay, so as we've been talking about in the head portion of our document, of our HTML page, this is where we tell the browser information that it's going to need to render our page. And so in our head tag, we're going to put let me just give you a notation here. This is called embedded styles. Embedded styles or embedded style sheet. I'll just put in styles for. That's what this particular scenario is called. And what we're going to do is we're going to create an opening and closing style tag. Okay. And style then is just that. What styles are we going to apply to our page? And these are CSS styles. Now, if we go back to, I wanted to stay on the color picker, but if we go back to, let's say, spread this out a little bit. If we go back to our CSS page, we can see that there is, this is the syntax that we're going to be following. In other words, The first word here is our HTML element that we want to apply our styling to. Then we have brackets, and in between the opening and closing brackets, there's the property we just looked up, background color. There's a colon, and then the color that we're going to apply or use. We always want to end in our semicolons. Notice for this H1, we have two properties, color, and we have text align. Both of those they can be on the same line, but for readability, this is nice the way that they've indented. So there's color, and there's the value is going to be white with a semicolon. And then another property, text align with a colon, and then the property value and semicolon. So that's kind of where we're headed here. I'm going to go back because I want to keep my color picker available to us. All right, so let's start with that idea. So let's do like that example. Let's do a body background color. So within my style tags, I'm going to indent because for readability, it's easier to read when we've indented. I'm going to put the name of the HTML element I want to apply a style to. In other words, I want the entire body, everything inside this opening and closing tag. Choose this element. All of the children of body. I want to have a background color, which is what we saw the name of that property. We have to spell it correctly, but we saw that it was background color. Now let's see, I don't know, what should I put for the background? Well, let's pick a nice shade of beige. I don't know which one of these is beige, so I'm going to just type in beige and see what I get. So I'm going to click on OK. And you'll see if I scroll down, I could put beige. I could put the hex value, the RGB value, or the HSL value here in the value for background color. In other words, and it's not case sensitive, I could put beige. So let's try that. I believe this is the correct page, and if I save it, sure enough, there's a beige. That's kind of cool. All right, what about if I tried this hex value? You're telling me I could use any of these. That's true. So let's just try it so I don't have to take the teacher's word for it. Always a good idea. Okay, so now let's try that. Did that work? Yep, doesn't seem to change anything, so it must be working. Let's try RGB. You think I can do that? Sure, let's try it. So if I put in, erase all of that, and put the RGB value, will that work? Sure enough. So I think you get the point that you can choose any one of these values, whichever you feel most comfortable with, to indicate a color. All right, fantastic. So now we've got a body background color. All right, let's put in a different style now. Let's apply a style to all of the P tags. Everything that is within the opening and closing P tags. Let's make that text color red. I think we saw that we could do a red. So if I'm not sure, I could also click on this. Ooh, this would be pretty. Oh, yes, that's really pretty. So let me scroll down and see definitely. Notice that this particular one doesn't have an English word, but I think I can just apply the hex value and be good. So instead of red, I'm going to put that, semicolon, and then let's see how that looks. All right, sounds good. You can apply, as we saw, more than one property to our tag. In our example in W3 Schools, they put it on the next line. I think just for another visual, I'm going to put it on the same line, but make sure that you separate each property with this semicolon, each property and its value. So I'm going to put font variant. I'm going to play with that one and see what that did. Okay. Now again, I just remember what these are, but if you don't remember exactly, do I put a dash? What do I put? Make sure you come back into W3 Schools and go back to your CSS reference. Let's see, make sure we know where we are. CSS, I'm trying to make this so you can go back to what you would normally see. Let's see, I'm just going to go back to the beginning because that's where we were before. CSS reference, and there's something about a font. Let's see, oh, there it is. Oh, there's that property, font variant. Then I can click on it, small caps. I can scroll down to see what some other choices are, see what browsers this one's available in. And here are some of my different choices, normal, small caps. Okay, great. So that way, if you don't remember these things offhand, and you can look it up. Of course, I've done them a few times, so I remember it pretty clearly at this point. Anyway, so we've got font variant P. So let's not do that. Let's save that, and we'll refresh our page. And you can see then that every tag that I have the P tag applied to, all the text that has a P tag then is receiving that upper and lowercase formatting. And the color is that pretty pink that we chose. All right, so you can see how we can differentiate formatting based on the HTML element. Let's just play with some others. Let's play with the H2 tag, and let's say the H2 tag, let's give it a font style, italic. And all right, we'll start there and see our font, yep, sure enough, our header went italic. And let's do one other thing. Let's change our div to background. So anything that has a div tag, color gray, we'll give it gray. So notice that because on both the body and the div, the body is a parent, and so the whole element, everything within that element is receiving whatever is applied to body. So the entire body has this background color. Therefore, by that same kind of definition, the background of image and the background of this P tag should then be gray, because everything within the opening and closing div tag is receiving this particular formatting. So if I refresh that, that is exactly what's happening. All right, so that's what we call embedded styles. There's also something called inline style, and I'll just put that here for reference so you can see what it is I'm saying, style. Okay. So the embedded style said this applies to all of these tags on the page. So all the H2 tags are getting this. Every P tag is getting this particular font styling. But notice that we have a P tag inside the div. And this P tag inside the div is a P tag, so it's getting the same styling that we gave it up in the embedded style. But because this div we've now made gray, maybe this Daffy Duck, this looks a little, it's hard to read against that gray background. So this one particular P, we would like to style a little bit different. So the syntax is a little bit different, but we can apply styling in what we call inline. Inline in the tag, we can apply a style that pertains just to this one tag. In other words, style. So I'm going to put the word style here, and the idea is that only this element is going to receive the style that I put inside this P tag. So style equals, a little bit different syntax here, which kind of sometimes can get a little bit confusing, but the property and the value is still the same concept. So let's say that our style, remember color has to do with changing the font color. So let's make this color, let's see if we can pick some kind of, where's our color picker again? So I'm going to go back to the home, and I'm going to scroll down to that color picker, and I want to pick some kind of an orange. Let's see what I can get for orange. Maybe this color would be a little better. Okay, let's choose that color. So again, the hex value, I'm going to choose that. So we're going to do color. I'll put in the hex value and the quote. Okay, so now when we reload this page, we will see that just the P tag, this one element, received the inline style. Again, remember the syntax is a little bit different. Here it's style equals, and then in open and close brackets, or open and close quotes, the property. Again, you can put more than one property here. If you also wanted to add another property in this inline style, you could certainly do that too, as many as you want. Maybe we're going to also do this one font style, and we'll make this one italic also. So as long as it's separated by the semicolon, we should be good to go. So indeed, that changed it. So inline then is in line with the tag that you put it in, and that syntax is style equals, or embedded styles in which everything on the page is going to receive this styling. So I think you probably already kind of intuitively noticed, however, that we call this order of preference over, I can't remember what it's called, order of specificity, that's the word, meaning whichever style is more specific is the style that will be received. In other words, we have two different stylings for this P tag. We have the styling, this color, and we also have this styling. So there is a conflict, isn't there? We have two different colors. There's not a conflict on font variant, so both of those are working. We have a font variant with the upper and lower case, or smaller uppercase. We also have the font style italic, because those two are not in conflict with each other. But how does the browser know then which color to choose? Do I choose the P color that's in the embedded sheet, or do I choose the P color that's in the inline style? And what it's going to do is the one that's closest to, the one that's most specific, or the one it renders last. So as the page is being read, it's got, oh, I've got a P tag, but this one is more specific to this particular P. And so this color, therefore, is going to override the embedded style color. So this color then is going to be applied to this particular P tag, but since there's no conflict with the P style and with the font variant, the font style and the font variant, those are also being applied because it is also a P tag. So the best way to learn CSS is just to explore and give it a try. Go into W3 schools and start to look up some of the different properties that you can apply and just start playing with it like we've done here and see how, try to understand how and why things are being displayed the way you are hoping. CSS, I warn you now, can be a very frustrating little language. You think that it's exactly the way you want, and then it doesn't show up the way you want on the page. So it's just trial and error and practicing. So this is an introduction to cascading style sheets and seeing how we can format our page and start making it look pretty rather than just using the HTML, or in addition to just using the HTML, which is setting up the structure.